see, and I will raise my voice because I'm so happy. I'm alive, I am alive, I am alive. I'm gonna shout to the world in highest jubilee. I'm gonna shout to the world for everyone to see, and I will raise my voice because I'm so happy. I'm alive, I am alive, I am alive. And on this day, I'm feeling great. I celebrate, standing in my power. Oh, on this day, I'm feeling great. I celebrate, oh yeah, feeling great, oh yeah. And on this day, I'm feeling great. I celebrate, standing in my power. Oh, on this day, I'm feeling great. I celebrate, oh yeah, feeling great, oh yeah. I'm gonna shout to the world in highest jubilee. I'm gonna shout to the world for everyone to see, and I will raise my voice because I'm so happy. I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive. I am alive, I am alive, I am alive. I am alive, I am alive, I am alive. Let there be less of me, let there be more of thee, less of the human, more of the divine, less that belongs to me, more that is thine, more of God's nature, and less that is mine. Order and harmony now are in place. Where there is harmony, discord will cease. Where there is harmony, there will be peace. Not personality, individuality, more of the Spirit self shining through me. Teach me humility, let me your servant be. Give me serenity, selfless and free. Order and harmony now are in place. Where there is harmony, discord will cease. Where there is harmony, there will be peace. Let there be less of me, let there be more of thee, less of the human, more of the divine, less of the human, more of the divine.
The divine and all that there is within that one love. Recognizing that spirit is alive within each and every one of us. And that same power that moves mountains, that same power that moves the wind, is the same power that moves our spirit, our love, our voices. And so we just take this time to recognize that divine presence within all of us, within all things, giving thanks in advance for the perfect and divine unfoldment. And so it is.
And so it is.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, that was beautiful. We are an interfaith gathering, a spiritual community that honors all teachings and all spiritual teachers. And now we begin our ceremony that celebrates this oneness of life, which acknowledges that all people and all faiths come from the one universal presence, which we call spirit. And we've got our lovely candle lighter, which is also a master juggler. We've got Ann Fleming. Thank you, Ann. And so let us begin. The Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. Shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of pristine spirituality. Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And of course, our last candle is the healing candle of love. So we invite you, in the stillness of your own mind, to bring to awareness the names of anyone you wish to be included in this healing flame of love and light. And now that our flames of faith are fully lighted, we move forward in our celebration, realizing and reaffirming that all paths lead to God. Thank you, Anne. Today's inspirational quote comes from our very own Ernest Holmes. You live because life lives in you. You move because a universal energy flows through you. You think because an infinite intelligence thinks through you. And back to our wonderful music.
Heaven is open to you. Find a way to open your heart. You're so much more than you do. Find a way to open your heart. Open your heart. Always you are God's instrument. Always you are enough. Always heaven is waiting right here. See now the whole world anew. Find a way to open your heart. Whatever's happened to you, find a way to open your heart. Open your heart. Always you are God's instrument. Always you are enough. Always heaven is waiting right here. We're all God's daughters and sons. Find a way to open your heart. See, now we all are as one. Find a way to open your heart. Open your heart. Always you are God's instrument. Always you are enough. Always heaven is waiting right here.
Let's give it up for our choir. Always the perfect flow of music. Hi, Judy, I see the signal. Hi, my name is Stevie. I'm one of the many licensed practitioners here at the Center for Spiritual Living. And it is our time to do our announcements, but beforehand, is there anybody here for the first time? This is your cue. If you'd like a welcome packet, we've got you covered. If putting your name out there in front of everybody isn't your thing, no big deal. You can go find Judy at the end, and she can give you what you need as well. So one thing about our Center for Spiritual Living is we are prayer warriors. If at any point in time you are finding yourself in need, like I was in the middle of a Saturday afternoon, it's a text, a phone call, an email away. We are trained to hold you in the highest light as you go through life's trials and tribulations, but also we will happily celebrate with you as well. I think that's really important to remember. So let us lean in and support you with prayer at any point in time. All right, now the fun stuff. There are lots of ways to say yes and participate. We've got next Sunday, Reverend Savannah is going to be in town. Not only is she doing the sermon that day, she's also doing a workshop after the sermon about boundaries. Now, if you're thinking about saying no, that might be your cue that this is a good shop for you. I met her in person, and she was phenomenal. Her energy speaks for itself, and I definitely think that it is worth your time. Also, I know that Rev mentioned we do have scholarship opportunities available, so keep that in mind. Speaking of, if you have questions about classes, we are doing a sample class, which I think is a first of its kind, really amazing to see. So this is going to be Tuesday, August 30th. So if I'm not mistaken, that is next Tuesday, not this upcoming Tuesday. No charge, and this is just an opportunity to come and feel out our classes. I've taken many with all of the different teachers here, and it is definitely worth the time. Okay, so we've got foundations coming up. This is going to be led by our very own Steiner and Judy. It's a dynamic duo. I promise you that. You will be entertained, to say the least. So this is going to be starting Thursdays in September. The 15th, I believe, is the first Thursday. You will need to send an email to office@csalaska.org to make sure you can get registered and signed up. Also, this is a prerequisite class. So if you are thinking of something down the line, this is a great place to start.
And it's only 8 weeks.
Yes, that's very important. Thank you. Only 8 weeks, 2 months, boom, before the snow falls, maybe. Maybe. Fingers crossed. We also have self-mastery. So this is going to be our very own Bob, and then, of course, Kaleem, another dynamic duo. This is going to be starting September 20th. It's also going to be 8 weeks. I feel like that's the theme right now. Keep it short and sweet, to the point. Once again, the register process is the same. Send that email over. Get in touch with a practitioner. They can support you with that. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's it for announcements. And we have a beautiful minister's moment, if I can pass it over to Steiner.
Thank you, Stevie. I love that you just call me Steiner. It's like, that's awesome. First, I want to thank Reverend Dawn for giving up the minister's moment to me today. Aaron every week sends out an email to the choir, kind of telling us what's going to happen for the week. And 2 months ago, Sam Carlin responded with, "I'm not going to make it on Sunday. I had a silly little heart attack." Oh. Which, as you know, is just like Sam, to downplay his silly little heart attack. And so today, I bring the news that on Wednesday, with his beloved children, Chris and Sam by his side, and his brother's wife, Ellen, Sam made his transition into whatever that next expression of oneness is. I distinctly heard him laughing and kind of waving just before I got the email that let me know that he had made that special transition. So today I have the honor of telling you a little bit about Sam. As Sam would, he's chosen not to have any kind of ceremony or celebration. That's just like Sam, right? No fuss, no muss. But we are going to take a moment today. And also I would like to just let everybody know that Sam's daughter and Ellen are here with us today. We're honored that you made the moment to come be with us. So Sam was born in Kansas, right? He was born on a ranch, so that doesn't surprise me. He's always had his jeans and his boots and his button-down shirt. I was surprised to hear that he actually did 2 tours of duty in Vietnam, in the Navy. He was actually an aircraft mechanic. So he was pretty important. And he got a bunch of awards. But he served on 2 Navy aircraft carriers, the Ticonderoga and the USS Enterprise. I didn't know that about him. He earned many, many honors and medals through that service. But I remember one day walking into one of my corporate offices, and there Sam was standing. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, what are you doing here? That's when I found out he was an IT tech, in that he actually served with a court system. That's not where I saw him. And he retired about 4 years ago. He was a great two-stepper, and he rode his motorcycle across America. Wow. He loved to sing. Who's surprised by that? He was a guy who said yes, and he always showed up. And I remember going, Sam, we need you in the choir. And he's like, but I live in way out there. And he's like, I got to drive in. And I'm like, okay, great. We'll see you at 10. And he showed up because he said yes. And then it was you would always see him next door having a cup of coffee, talking to everybody after the service. So he, it's no surprise that he loves the outdoors. He loved hiking. He loved skiing, camping. And I got to know him while we were doing Spiritual Striders. And I got to tell you, there was a lot to this guy. But the most important thing that I can share with you about Sam is, as much as he didn't share much about his life, he sure talked about his daughter and his son. If there's nothing else that I knew, is that his son lived here and made fishing rods, specialty fishing rods, and his daughter lived in Washington and was the light of his eye. And I have to tell you, over the past 8 weeks, these 2 kids are completely devoted to that man. So I don't know what you have to do to live a life where your kids are that devoted and love you that much and loved him enough to let him go. And so, as sad as I am today to announce that he has moved on, I have a challenge for all of you. His voice is no longer with us in the choir, and so today I want you to sing loud, and I want you to sing out, because that is the best way that we can remember and honor this quiet, loving man who always said yes. Thank you. And now, for our next song. And I also just want to say that our beloved Dawn is joining us from the audience. So stand up and sing, you guys. Let's do this.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. What a wonderful world. Eyes of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you, Linda, Aaron, choir, and all of you, and thank you all for being here today. Sam is certainly missed. The theme for the month of August has been nature, and we've looked at it from certainly a number of different ways. The first week I looked at nature and I talked about water and what an important life element water really is. We can't have life without water. Next week, Stevie gave this awesome talk. What was, I think it was boots, barrels, and umbrellas. Made a really fun talk about the rain and the memories of childhood when the rain was, yippee, let's have fun, and today it's kind of a gloomy thing, and maybe we can shift our perspective. Applies not only to the rain, but to our lives. And today I'm going to talk about how nature is a part of us, and we are part of nature, and it is all the creation of a higher power. And the title of my talk today is The Naturally Divine. And part of what I wanted to talk about today is man's need to connect with nature. And I wrestled with this, and I had something I was going to say, and I wasn't happy with it, but I guess halitosis is better than no breath at all. So I was going to pray with that, but I opened the paper this morning and looked in, and on page B8, outdoors. This great article by Allie Harvey. It says, getting outdoors can provide a natural break from the constant stimuli of everyday life. And that is the need that we have to be outdoors and to connect with the outdoors and to breathe air that hasn't been in somebody else's lungs. Right next to it was an article that said, on a hunting opener, a diversion to fish that may cause an about face. And I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit, but I think that it is also important to notice that we are a part of this whole ecosystem that we are in the world. Human beings do have a place in it, and it is good for us to be out in the world. Two major points that I have today. One, I'm going to talk about diversity, and secondly, I am going to talk about human nature. So first of all, diversity. I'm going to start off with a big word, anthropocentrism. Anthropocentrism. I practiced and practiced that. Anthropocentrism. Also known as homocentrism or simply human supremacy. And it is this concept or this idea that we have that humans are a superior species to anything else on the planet. That humans are the boss. We are supposed to run the planet, that we're in charge, that we are above all other creatures. I came across this quote, it's awfully long, but it was out of a environmental magazine, but it has some real rings of truth to it. Anthropocentrism is believed by some to be the central problem in our philosophy toward the environment. The evidence that traditional Western attitudes are systematically biased against non-human world is all around us. As long as humans hold the belief that we are superior to other species, we will continue to experience racism, biases, and discrimination amongst ourselves. When humans can see God in all things and not as the anthropomorphic white man on a throne, we will have shifted this paradigm. Which then leads to this subject I referred to earlier, hunting. I feel like a hypocrite. I absolutely believe in the sanctity of all life. I absolutely do. The divinity of all life. And yet I eat meat. Am I a hypocrite for loving all life and yet ending it for some other creature, some other expression of the divine so that I can eat it? I also love salad. Well, that lettuce is life too. I have to have sustenance. I have to have something to live, otherwise I'd starve to death. So I'm going to be killing something somewhere along the line anyway. I think that there is a thing attached to here that makes a difference. And this is just me, my own belief. But when I was little, we weren't a particularly religious family. The kids all went to church and Sunday school every week. But boy, when we had family gatherings and we went to the Flemings or the Delaney's, we didn't eat a meal that we didn't say grace. And it seems to me that that is such a powerful, powerful expression of giving thanks to that animal, those plants that gave their lives that we might live. Early on in practitionership, I was tasked with saying the blessing at one of our gatherings, and being brand new to it, boy, I had the deer in the headlights look, and I think I muttered something and got it out. But I made up my mind right then I was going to come up with something better. And I came across this Buddhist, it's a Zen food blessing that I use to this day. Earth, fire, water, air, and space combine to make this food. Countless beings have given their love, their lives, and their labor that we might eat. We nourish our bodies that we might nourish life. And I think with that simple recognition that we honor these plants and animals, we give meaning to it, and it lets us step into that circle of life. It lets us step into nature. Now, that doesn't mean that all hunting is good. And one of the things that I really love about Alaska is I think that most Alaskan guides, and we've got guides that are members of our congregation, honor the concept of honoring the animals that are killed. I know of no guide who participates in any type of wanton waste. That the animals that are killed, even though the client may only want the horns, which by the way boils into a really thin soup, they make sure that that animal is given to someone who needs it and can use it and will consume it for the purpose that it was given. And it does not excuse the fact that in the name of sport that there is tremendous waste in the world. We've had examples here in Alaska. I have seen examples when I was out hunting, specifically herd shooting at herds of caribou. And they just shoot at the herd knowing they're going to get something. And often the animal escapes to die and never retrieved. Much wildlife is wasted. In all the statistics I read, one jumped out of the page at me, and that's that 20,000 African elephants are killed every year just for their tusks. There's another example of how we can mistakenly kill other species, and it gets back to this anthropocentrism, this idea that we are superior to everything. And here we have a picture of a cute little guy known as a pangolin. And he's about 6 or 8 inches long, the pangolin. At the start of the pandemic, scientists were looking how humans contracted the coronavirus. And they found this little guy, and they found that he had in his genetic makeup and whatnot a resistance to and had been familiar with the coronavirus. And they thought that perhaps he was the connection between the animal world and humans in terms of the coronavirus. And so people went hunting for the little pangolin to wipe it off the face of the earth. We found out since then it was not the pangolin. It was, I think, likely bats of some type. But the hatred of the pangolin has continued, and people are out to kill this little scaly guy. And he is almost extinct today. And we really didn't need to do that. Also, we ignore, I'm going to use the term ignore, other intelligent species. We refuse to embrace and acknowledge intelligence in other species. Many, many years ago, I won a sales trip with GE, and we went to the Bahamas. Ann and I had this great trip, and they had different activities you could sign up for, and I signed up for the dolphin encounter. And we went out on this dolphin encounter, and there was a family. You know, this wasn't just all GE people. This was all kinds of people. And on this encounter, there was this one family, and the father and I don't know how to politely say it, but he was a jerk. And physically elbowed his way and pushed people out of the way so that he could get on the boat first, so that his family would have the best seats as we rode over to this other island, this little bay lagoon where the dolphins were. He didn't think it all the way through, though, because up in his front row seats, it meant he was last off the boat. So he was the last one down to the dolphin area, but he made up for that by pushing his way, literally, knocking little old ladies down so he could get in the front, and his family with him. I don't know how they did it, but these dolphins just appeared. I mean, I didn't hear a whistle blow. I don't know what it was, what happened. Maybe they had a hand signal. I don't know. But these dolphins appeared, and we were all in a square, and everybody was out around it. We had been instructed to wear swimming suits, that we were going to get wet, that was the deal. And wow, what a show these dolphins put on. And of course, they up in the air and splash, and everybody got wet, and almost everybody took it in good humor and had a good time. Not Jerk. Jerk bitched the whole time. Hey, I got wet. Well, the more Jerk bitched, and this one dolphin, and it was so cool. Well, they had a thing going around, and I was adjacent, so I could see what was happening, and it was almost like I couldn't believe it. Well, this one dolphin came up behind Jerk, and he came up. A dolphin spits about 5 gallons. And this dolphin came up and spit on him. And I thought that was the funniest thing going. And I was laughing. And of course, even his kids were picking up on it and laughing at him. It came to the end of the dolphin encounter, and it really was awesome. The dolphins, I think we had 6 in our little thing, would come up, and they'd put their little fin out, and you'd shake hands with the dolphin. And all 6 of them had come by. Well, my buddy, the spitting dolphin, came by, and he shook hands. He even shook hands with Jerk, and he came by, and spitting dolphin got up to me, and he didn't shake hands. He didn't put out his flipper to shake hands. He got to me, and he put out both flippers. He wanted a hug. I hugged the dolphin. To this day, I will not eat a can of tuna fish that is not certified dolphin free. They are way too intelligent. They are way too smart. Anybody that denies the intelligence of dolphins isn't on the same wavelength with me. There's another example that's a little closer to home that is really cool too. And I've noticed this now for several winters. Ravens, and this seems to happen when it's the very, very coldest, but they will somehow get into something over at the House of Bread. I don't know what it is, but they will come out of there with bread. Well, next door is Midas, and they've got that roof hatch. It's a hatch to get up onto the roof. And there's no insulation or anything. It's just a thin metal seal to the top of that hatch to get onto the roof. Well, without any insulation, all the heat in the building is up right up against the ceiling. That hatch is, I've never touched it, but I'm sure it's past warm to almost, hot to the touch. Those ravens will fly up there with that bread, and they lay it on the top of that, and they'll wait a little while, and then they turn it with their beak. They toast their bread. You can't tell me that bird is not smart. Well, but you say, Reverend Don, don't you know that in the scriptures, man is given dominance over all the animals of the earth? Well, I think this comes from the entire Abrahamic tradition. It started, of course, with Judaism, which is opposed to Judaism, which is the worship of Judy. We've got enough of that here as it is. Judaism, and I think it's in Genesis 1, I think about verse 26, and in which God gives dominion over the fish in the sea, the fowl in the air, the cattle, and the beasts of all kinds. And he gives him dominion. Further down, I don't know, it's another 3-4 paragraphs down, it repeats that entire thing, and it is really obvious to me. This is what they're saying. It is not that man has dominance over these creatures, but rather that man has responsibility. The dominion is a responsibility to take care of the fish in the sea, the fowl in the air, the cattle, and all sorts of wild beasts. Okay, my second point, human nature. Definition of human nature. The general psychological characteristics, feelings, and behavioral traits of humankind, regarded as shared by all humans. You know, human beings are fascinating creatures. They're intelligent, they're social, they're creative, they're capable, they're loving and caring. And they're also unconscious, destructive, biased, and selfish. I'm going to look at this aspect of human nature from the standpoints of behavior, biology and genetics, and personality. Behavior refers to the way a person acts or reacts to other persons, situations, and their surroundings in general. Behavior is how a person expresses him or herself. Biology and genetics. Different members of the same species have almost identical DNA. For instance, the DNA in your genes is about 99.9% the same as the DNA in every other human being. These common genetic structures mean members of the same species are born with a variety of behaviors that come naturally to them, defining the characteristics of that species. These abilities and characteristics are known as instincts, which are complex inborn patterns of behaviors that help to ensure survival and reproduction. Different animals have different instincts. For example, birds build nests, dogs are naturally loyal to their human caretakers, and humans instinctively learn to communicate through language. But the strengths of different traits and behaviors varies within the species. Rabbits are naturally fearful, but some rabbits are more fearful than others. That's allowed some of them to exist, but it also kept some of them from reproducing. Some dogs are more loyal than others. Some humans learn to speak languages much easier and quicker than others. I came across a guy in Duolingo a few weeks ago. Blew me away. This guy had something like 11,000 points in the language that he was doing, and he'd done it in a couple of months. And I thought, oh, that guy's cheating. He signed up for his own native language. He's sure he's going to ace it. But you can look in and see what they've done. And I looked down. This guy has mastered 14 languages. He's racking up tens of thousands of points a day in all kinds of languages. And they're not all Romance languages, that are not all similar things. I mean, he's got everything from Mandarin Chinese to Japanese to English. That's the toughest one. All of these other things. The guy obviously had that gene. These variances are determined in part by the small differences in genes. We share 99.9% of our genetics with the rest of the species. We see vast differences among people with regard to sex, ethnicity, appearance, ability. Lastly, personality. refers to the amalgamation of qualities and characteristics that define a person. Scientists believe that personality is not determined by a single gene, but assumed to be determined by the actions of many genes working together. So there is no IQ gene, a gene that determines, well, this person's smart and this one isn't. There is no good marriage partner gene that says, oh, this one's going to be a good marriage partner. But we, in our philosophy and what we do, we believe that there is one power, one presence, one life, and therefore individual personality is determined by what we believe about ourselves. We can know that we believe about ourselves based on our vibrational energy, and that we attract into our experience what we need. Like attracts like, meaning that two entities vibrating at the same frequencies are pulled toward one another. Put a bow on this thing to end it today. Conclusion, this is what I want you to take away. The same intelligence that created the stars, the galaxies, and planets, sounds a lot like Stevie's invocation, also created life here on planet Earth. Mankind has believed that we're the only conscious and intelligent beings on this planet for many, many centuries. But over time, humankind has learned that other creatures possess different levels of intelligence, which many attributed to instinctive behavior and programming. Only recently in human history have we studied and investigated behavior, intelligence, communication, and consciousness in animals. We forget that most life on planet Earth shares similar DNA and comes from a common source. Most animals are social creatures and share many common traits with humans. Humans are linked with the rest of God's creation. Let us examine our beliefs, our misconceptions, and biases so that we can truly embrace the oneness with all life. All of life is divine. And so with that awareness of the inherent divinity in all, I ask my colleagues, the practitioners, and really all of you to join me in recognizing that infinite presence as part of our lives. Recognizing that that infinite power which made the heavens and earth and each and every one of us is all-knowing, all-powerful, and is present at every point in space and every moment of time. And so as we go through this thing called life, and we experience the sadness that comes when we lose a colleague, a friend, a choir member, a father, like Sam, it's okay for us to be sad. We wouldn't be human if we weren't. It's okay to experience grief. But we can be comforted by our awareness in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. So as we move forth in our daily lives, we can simply know that that plane, that the entity that we knew as Sam is experiencing greater glory, greater heights, greater connection, greater love than we are on this earthly plane. And we can celebrate and be thankful for knowing the life of Sam, for knowing a life well lived. And this applies to everything that we do. We can know that there is an infinite creative force which is guiding us, which is supporting us through all of the human things we experience, from lack and limitation to health challenges, to separation, separation from one another and separation from that infinite power. We can never be separate. So we just give thanks. We give thanks for that awareness. We can give thanks that we had this time together. Now we let it go, we let it be, and so it is.
Life is good and it's getting better. We are spiraling up, up, up. Full of love and it's growing stronger. We are spiraling up, up, up. We are spiraling, we are spiraling. We are spiraling up, up, up. We are spiraling, we are spiraling. We are spiraling up, up, up. Life is great and it's getting better. We are spiraling up, up, up. Full of joy, happy and happier. We are spiraling up, up, up. We are spiraling, we are spiraling. We are spiraling up, up, up. We are spiraling, we are spiraling. We are spiraling up, up, up. Life is good and it's getting better. We are spiraling up, up, up. Full of peace, I am feeling calmer. We are spiraling up, up, up. We are spiraling, we are spiraling. We are spiraling up, up, up. We are spiraling, we are spiraling. We are spiraling up, up, up. Life is great and it's getting better. We are spiraling up, up, up. We are one and we're growing stronger. We are spiraling up, up, up. We are spiraling, we are spiraling. We are spiraling up, up, up. We are spiraling, we are spiraling. We are spiraling up, up, up.
Thank you all, choir. I just want to take a brief moment and thank everyone for all you do every week in and out. Aaron for putting together all the music, the choir for supporting us, lifting up our spirits, but the sound and video team back there, reliable. And there's so many other moving parts in it. You know, Judy is here every single Sunday doing all the little things behind the scenes. That's why we have the Judaism.
Where did the names come from?
And so many others that contribute every week in so many ways. This is the time in the service where we get to participate in the law of circulation. A few people that we spot on line today: Wendy Armento, don't know her. Lynn and Marion are there. Richard Rosendale, Luann Pogue, Pam Bowman Balser, David Lowell, Dana Danford, Gwen, couldn't pronounce it. Small font. Don. Oh, and Sarah's on today. Guten Tag. Sarah from Germany. Also, I wanted to mention, a week or two ago, Jennifer came in and said, Don, what is this? We've got this check from Kroger for $38. I said, oh yeah, quarterly we get a check from them. And this is a deal where you can go in, and if you shop at Fred Meyer's, and they will give us a portion. I don't know how much it is, it's a tiny percentage, but they give back to us. It doesn't cost you fuel points, it doesn't cost you rewards points, it doesn't cost you anything. They just add it up and they send us a check. But you have to go in and do it, and there is a big old long URL you have to type into your browser to get there. And so I thought, oh, and we're out of time, I'm gonna run over my commitment for an hour. But I thought that while you're writing down that huge, big old long thing, because you might as well, it's free money for the center. While you're writing it down, I tell a quick little story. Earlier this week, Mrs. Fleming said to me, oh my God, something's wrong with my car. It's making this noise and it sounds like a wheel's gonna fall off or something. Well, it can't be that bad. Oh yes, it is that bad. Well, we better get it in. And she used her charm to move to the front of the line at the mechanics and got in, and she got her car fixed. But it brought to mind a story, similar kind of a situation. A lady one day noticed this horrible sound in her car. There was this, sounding and a big bang, and it coming from the rear end, and oh my goodness. And then every time she went around a corner, there'd be this big bang. Oh, this can't be good. And she could just see the dollar bills rolling up, the expense, broken axle, all of the gears in the rear, differential chewed up. Just horrible expense and terrible. So she got it into the mechanic and dropped her car off at 8 in the morning, figuring it might be there for a while they ordered parts and everything else. And about 10 o'clock in the morning, she got a call, and it was the mechanic's place. He said, your car's done. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. Do you know, by any chance, what the charge is? Well, let's see here. Yeah, it's $20. $20, that's great. She said, that's fantastic. I'll be down right away to get it. So she got down, she paid her $20. She's dying to see what was in the report. She opened it up. Report says, visual inspection. Removed husband's bowling ball from trunk. Boo. But with that, we can do our affirmation. I hope everybody got the Fred Meyer's reward thing done, because it can help our center. Instead of 36, let's see if we can get next quarters to be 100.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is. Namaste.
In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. For Spirit, one Spirit, is in this very room. In this very room. Is in this very room.
Let us take a moment while we are in this very room to tap into the superior power known as spirit. We honor the divine nature that is the common source of all. Let us claim our innate responsibility and protect the sacred life expressed in us and in all forms. Giving thanks for the sacrifices made by Mother Nature so that we may nourish our life. For the earth beneath our feet, for the wind that fills our lungs, for the fire that cooks our meals, for the water that nourishes our blood. We usher the utmost gratitude, releasing all lack, all wastefulness, and all jerk-like attitudes. letting go of our habits of yesterday, we commit to ensuring a better tomorrow. We let it go. We let it be. And so it is.
There was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go, let it all go. And this is what you have to say: I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life and my heart.